Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is breaking news and it is that Casemiro will leave Manchester United in the summer when his contract expires. So Casemiro will be leaving the club. It has been announced. It is official. It was first reported by Samsey Reports on X and then closely followed. Other major outlets have broke this and now Manchester United themselves, Casemiro himself, have confirmed the news that he will be leaving Manchester United after lots of speculation. I mean, we had Ben Jacobs on the show earlier and he said it's yet to be seen whether Casemiro will agree to a wage reduction at Manchester United to continue at the club. That hasn't happened. He's decided he's going to move on. They've come to a mutual agreement, Manchester United and the player Casemiro, and he's decided he's going to leave Manchester United at the end of the summer. And Manchester United probably agree with that as well. Like, look at the way that our wage structure is going at the club. All the big hitters are slowly going one by one. Marcus Rashford not going to be at Manchester United past the summer, or he's not going to return to Manchester United, one of our biggest earners. Bruno Fernandes nearly left Manchester United in the summer, one of our biggest earners. He's still here. Will he be at the end of the summer this season, this year? We'll talk about that. Also, Jadon Sancho, I mean, we always knew that he was going to go. But the big earners at Manchester United, one by one, are slowly leaving the club. And with Casemiro, is it the right time? Do you think it's the right thing to let him go? Do you think it's the right thing that Casemiro is going to be leaving Manchester United? Or would you, if you were Manchester United, offered him a contract to try and get him to stay? We don't know. United might have offered a deal and Casemiro just thinks, you know what, I've done my contract, I've had a really good experience at Manchester United and now it's time to move on. Man United might not have even put an offer on the table and Casemiro's thought, I want to explore other options, so I'm going to announce that I'm leaving. What we do know about Casemiro is that he's one of the most professional footballers that we've had at Manchester United. He's super, super professional and he's one of the best. He's one of the greatest centre defensive midfielders that has ever been. Has it been all smooth sailing at Manchester United? No. But we've also seen a spectacular player play at Old Trafford. He's had his low moments, but he's also had massive highs. So I want to get into conversation. I'm going to run a poll. Was it the right decision for Casemiro to leave Manchester United? Do you think it's the right move in his career for Manchester United? I'll run that poll now. But what I also want you to get involved with is, was this a successful signing for Manchester United? Where do Manchester United go from here? Because we're going to need a huge midfield reinvestment in the summer. It's going to be changing our midfield. I'm going to go through each midfielder we've got and whether they're likely to be a starter for us next season. So the World Cup's on. We're in the market for a new manager. It's a very hectic summer and we could potentially need 3 new big midfielders. Casemiro, he's going, he's gone. There's no uncertainty anymore. He will be leaving. What's going to happen with Bruno Fernandes? Is Kobbie Mainoo going to sign a new contract? Manuel Ugarte, he's getting offers from Galatasaray and Ajax and isn't really first choice at Manchester United / isn't necessarily trusted by United fans to be a starter currently. Is he going to be able to go into that or is it time to move him on? Mason Mount can play there, but he's more of a forward player and he suffered with mass injuries. We're going to need to look at our midfield and to be honest with you, I mean, I've always said, don't rush in the January window. Don't rush to go and get someone who a year later you think, oh, are they really, going to be part of our starting 11? However, it might be a good idea for Manchester United to get ahead of the curve and go and get someone now. Say if you were to get, for example, a João Gomez now, you could use him between now and the end of the season, and then this time next year, do you expect him to be in the starting 11? No. But could he be a really good squad player when you've got European football, which hopefully Manchester United can have? Yes, it's a squad game. So does Manchester United get ahead of a curve? We're probably going to go for 2 big midfielders in the summer. Everyone wants Elliot Anderson. Whether we can get him remains to be seen. I'm hopeful of that. He's my top target. We're probably going to go for somebody else as well. But we might need a 3rd kind of squad player in there too, who is capable of being part of the starting 11, but is more of a competitive player that, comes on, plays matches when we've got congestion in the fixture list. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But focusing on Casemiro first and foremost, we do have some quotes coming in from him. We have all the news around it. I want to break down whether you thought he was a good signing for Manchester United. I've got my own opinions on that. But before I get into all that, get your comments in, smash a like on the video, remember to do that. I do want to just say, I've had a brilliant time watching not watching Manchester United, not as of late. Hopefully that is going to continue when Carrick's in. No, I've had a brilliant time watching Casemiro at Manchester United. I was absolutely over the moon when we signed him. He is he has been one of the best centre defensive midfielders that I've ever seen and that the game has had. Have I had points when I've watched him for Manchester United where I've thought he needs to go? Yes. Have I had points where I thought, I actually cannot believe that is the Casemiro playing for Manchester United, like in that Crystal Palace game when we all know what happened there? Yeah, I have. But I've also had brilliant memories from Casemiro showing what an excellent player he has. You know, every player has peaks and troughs, but Casemiro's shown extreme resilience, extreme professionalism, and to be honest with you, I think he's been one of our better players this season. And if it was up to me, if he would have taken a wage reduction, because I don't think you can keep him on at the age and the kind of point he's at in his career now on 350 grand a week, like that's just silly. It really, really is. So if it was going to be 350 grand a week, the contract had to end. But if you could have kept him as, you know, that Harry Maguire type player who can be a leader in the dressing room, has experience, has elite mentality that can pass on to the young players, but isn't going to play every game, but is there for the big games and there when he's needed, I would have kept Casemiro for that. Because I think every single dressing room, especially when you're in transition, which Manchester United are in, needs like authority figures. They need leaders. They need professionalism. They need someone who's going to stand up, someone who has been there, done that, and can kind of pull that dressing room together. And that's what Casemiro is for me. He demands respect because of his career. So if he could have agreed to a lower weekly wage, then I would have been open to keep him, not as a starter every single week, but as a player that, you know, can come in and play some big moments for us. And like Harry Maguire kind of does, he doesn't play every game, but he plays some big games and he's important. So yeah, Casemiro will be missed. I'm going to reveal whether I think he was a good signing or not shortly, but from the way I've been speaking about him, you can kind of read into that. But there's multiple different factors as to why I think he has been a good signing, which I will get into. But yeah, how are you feeling? I'm a little bit... I knew it was coming, but I always kind of had a niggly feeling that he was going to sign an extension on reduced wages, but he will be leaving Manchester United. So let me just go through all the quotes and everything and we can get into it a little bit further, because I know there's quite a few people watching, comments coming in that I want to get into. So, quote from Casemiro is, "I will carry Manchester United with me throughout my entire life. From the first day that I walked out of this beautiful stadium, I felt the passion from Old Trafford, and I love that I now share with that supporters for this special club. It's not time to say goodbye. There are many more memories to create during the next 4 months. We still have to fight for together. My complete focus will always remain on giving everything to help our club succeed. So we still have a lot to fight for together. My focus is on the next months to help this club succeed everything it can." Just basically saying, as much as, you know, he might be leaving, he's going to be completely professional from now until the end of the season, and he wants to carry out his duties to the best of his ability, which you would obviously expect from him. And he's put out an Instagram caption and a Twitter caption as well. And he said, "Knowing when stages come to an end, knowing when to say goodbye, when you feel that you will be remembered and respected forever. 4 months to give my all for this badge and for our goal. Eternal respect and affection for Manchester United and its wonderful fans. Forever a Red Devil." And do you know what I respect about that statement from Casemiro? Is he's going out on a high. He's going out on a high. If he would have gone out, you know, the back end of the season where Erik ten Hag ended up going on to win the FA Cup, but there was kind of a tumultuous summer there. He stayed on. You know, he then got sacked. Amram came in. He would have gone out. I mean, we still would have always loved and respected Casemiro because of what he's done in the game. And his first year at the club was absolutely sensational. Like, the first year that Casemiro was at Manchester United, you saw the best Casemiro. He said that in interviews himself. When we won the Carabao Cup that first season, when he was playing with Eriksen and Bruno, he was like player of the season that year. And I know Marcus Rashford got it, but for me, Casemiro was seriously up there for player of the season. He was so good. So we would have always remembered that year. But going out when, you know, your last previous games was 4-0 away at Selhurst, where it was just not a nice thing for anyone to really see. I mean, you had Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports saying, "Leave the football before it leaves you." And a lot of people kind of laugh at Jamie Carragher for that now and say, "You look stupid because look at what Casemiro's doing." But at the time, that's how a lot of people felt. Casemiro went from one of the best centre defensive midfielders in the world when he was at his first year to Manchester United to people thinking, wow, like, you know, people were saying go to Saudi, he needs to go to the MLS. Like, people were disrespecting Casemiro left, right and centre, and that was because his performances were really, really poor. Yet it was because he was put into a team that didn't suit him whatsoever, and he was just kind of trying to hold a midfield by himself that was like basketball, football. But at the time, like, that would have been a lot of people thought he should have left. But he didn't go out on that kind of note. He stayed, he's proved himself. The mental, not that he really needed to because of his previous times in his career, but his mental resilience to kind of go away, train super hard. And you can see the difference in images from when he was in training under Ten Hag that time to now. Like, he's absolutely chiseled now. And he's worked extremely hard, he's shown mental strength, he's got past it, and he's, you know, he's not the Casemiro we had in the first year, but he's a very, very good quality player that would be in my starting 11 for Manchester United every single week currently. So he's done really well to kind of come back from that, and he's going out on a high. Everybody loves Casemiro. You know, his name, I sit in the Stretford end with my season ticket. His wife's box is literally right behind me, and she's always like loving it. You know, Casemiro, Casemiro. It's there every single week now. You know, the fans love him. He's been really important this season, and has it been the season we've hoped it to be? Absolutely not. But if we can get Champions League football, he can play a part in that. He'll go out on a really good note. So he's going out on a high rather than going out on, you know, leave the football before it leaves you. And I've just seen Phantom saying mental resilience is on 350 grand a week. And I get that. Money does play a part of it. And 100%, I'm not saying Casemiro decided not to go then because he just really wanted to come and prove himself. I do think that's part of it because he's a footballer that has won everything there is to win, and he'll want to feel that hunger and desire to show that he's the best version of himself, and I don't think he'd want to go out on that note. A big part of it was because his contract lasted and he's on 350 grand a week. It's huge, huge money. Like, it's huge money. People say world's smallest violin because you are massive money, but I do think it's the right point for him to kind of leave the football club where you are going out on a bit of a high. Rich Fay has reported the decision not to renew Casemiro's contract was made a while ago, but Casemiro wanted to make the decision public to avoid incorrect speculation over his future. He said he will always be a Manchester United fan. In England, I am red. I am Manchester United until the death. Thank you to everyone in my life who made this time in my life such a special period, especially the fans. Thank you very, very much. So Casemiro said his biggest thanks to the supporters. He said he will always remember his song as well. You also have this coming out now from Rich Fay as well. Manchester United sources say Casemiro's departure will give them additional capacity to reinvest in the midfield department this summer with a refresh of the position expected. Nottingham Forest star Elliot Anderson is the current dream addition in that area of the pitch. And do you know what I will say? If, and I mean if Manchester United, you know, move on Casemiro, who is currently on 350 grand a week, and yes, he's playing well, but on that contract, it's the right time to move him on. If they move on Casemiro and they bring in Elliot Anderson, right, I'll give him a bit of respect for that. I really will. I'll sit here and say, that is a good move. Because Casemiro, as good as he's been this season for us, you know, he's coming to the end of his best days and it is time to move him on for that amount of money. And you bring in Elliot Anderson, who I'm pretty sure is 24 years old, young, fresh, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, and I genuinely do believe that. He has got a super high potential. When I watch him, he just screams a Man United player. Then I would sit here and I'd say, you know, fair play, that's a really, really good move. However, it depends on if Manchester United can pull that off. And that will yet to be seen. So if we can get Elliot Anderson, that's brilliant, but we've got to make sure we recruit in the right way. And I'm going to go through that in a second because our midfield could be in for a major sort of reinvestment and it's going to be a huge, huge summer for Manchester United. So we've got some super chats coming in here. We have Daniel Thompson saying, hope you're well, Beth, and the United stand. A top-class pro and a great guy Casemiro has been. It's been great to see him play for us. I do think it's the right move to part ways. Now we must reinvest in a top-quality midfielder and a huge midfield rebuild overall. Daniel, couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think with the wages on, it's the right decision. Mark Smith says, getting out of there now, he can have his pre-contract signed at a new club before the World Cup. Correct to let him go. Great player, but legs have gone. And yeah, I agree with that as well. He wants to be able to talk to other clubs and sort his future out, which is why it has been announced. So I want to just quickly, because I wrote this down before I started the show when I seen the news break, I wanted to just talk about whether I think Casemiro was a good signing for Manchester United or not, and why, because there's been a lot of discourse around this. I don't think there's any denying, like I've said it over and over again, because I don't want to disrespect him. You know, when his wife went and posted his trophy cabinet on Instagram after he got hooked it in that Liverpool game for Toby Collier at half-time at Old Trafford when we were getting beat and he was having a really poor performance, like, that was a low point. It really was. However, he's got trophies for a reason. He has been absolutely sensational over the course of his career, what he did at Real Madrid, his first year at United, and then this season as well, I think he's been pretty good. He's not been at his best, but we've seen the best Casemiro in that first year. He won trophies for us, and I think that's really important to kind of note. So do I think he was a good signing for Manchester United? I'm going to say yes, he was. Do I think we overpaid? Yes. Do I think we did it as a panic signing? Yes. Do I think his weekly wage was too much money? Yes. But do I think Casemiro was a good signing and a signing that I've enjoyed at Manchester United? Yes. I'm glad we signed him. I really am. So if you look at it, this is what Casemiro is on currently at Manchester United. He's on £18.2 million per year. That's based on a 350 grand per week wage under his current contract with Man United. So he's on 18.2 million a year, right? Imagine what you can reinvest that into now, because our wage structure is slowly coming down. So you can invest that towards an Elliot Anderson who won't come in on 350 grand a week. You can invest that towards, you know, potentially an Adam Wharton if that's the sort of player that you'd want. And you see a lot of people talking about Angelo Stiller, who's definitely a different style of player, and he's not the Casemiro replacement, Angelo Stiller. He'd be a different sort of midfielder that you'd bring in. But you can invest that yearly wage into the midfield that we're going to need to rebuild. I mean, there's reports that it might be 300 grand a week or up to even 375 grand a week, including bonuses, because, you know, there's performance-based bonuses, there's Champions League deductions, but let's just call it 350 grand a week. That's what he's on. That will be going. But the reason I would say Casemiro has been a successful signing is I think he's had an impact in terms of mentality and leadership that we needed. His defensive contributions in terms of what we expect from a centre defensive midfielder in that first season is what Manchester United should demand from their central defensive midfielder. Not only was he a destroyer that could, you know, intercept perfectly, you know, could kind of always anticipate where the danger was going to be, he was a goal scorer. You know, he was a threat in the box. He had technique. He was brilliant, Casemiro, in that first season, and that's what I would kind of expect from that type of player in a Manchester United midfield. And that's why I'm so desperate for us to go and get Elliot Anderson. He's not going to be, you know, the exact carbon copy of Casemiro's first year at the club. However, he is tenacious. He reads the danger. He's always looking forward. He's got an eye for a pass. He's mobile. Casemiro's not mobile anymore, but he wasn't the most mobile when he came in, but his brain kind of made up for it. You want that sort of player within your team. So he also, early trophy success, you know, in the Carabao Cup, he had a big part to play in winning that. I know he didn't play in the final of the FA Cup, but he also had a big part to play in that in the lead up to it. And, you know, he's kind of shown other players the turnaround you can have if you work hard. Ruben Amorim said he was behind Toby Collier at one point. He was now going on loan to Hull. And now he's, you know, one of the first names on the team sheet every week because... And he's not even at his best right now. So he's turned it around as well. So I would say the 70 million was way over the top to Real Madrid and the wage was too over the top. But we've had some good times with Casemiro. He's provided some really good goals and 16 games to go. 16 games to go. But I think when I think about it, it's the right time. It's the right time for him to move on. It's the right decision from him. It's the right decision from the club. But make sure we replace him properly because we're saying it's the right decision now. Come August, when we're starting again in the Premier League, if we've not got a correct replacement, we won't be saying that. So we've got to make sure we invest in the midfield properly. So just to kind of finish off the show, and I'm going to read some more chats out from you guys in a minute and get your answer on the poll as well. We've got some votes coming in there. Make sure you have a vote on it. I just want to talk about the midfield situation this summer a little bit. So Casemiro is confirmed to be gone, okay? Ugarte, is he someone that's going to make a massive impact for us next season? Is he someone that Manchester United should keep or should be looking to offload? That's a question mark. Mason Mount plays as a forward more. He's more of an attacking midfielder. And even though he can play that position, he's injury prone, so he's not always reliable. Bruno Fernandes has said he won't make his decision about leaving Manchester United until after the World Cup. And he nearly left in the summer. I'm glad he stayed. I want him to stay again. If Bruno Fernandes can play as number 10 for Manchester United, an attacking midfielder, for me, we've got to keep him. So, I mean, I just love Bruno anyway for his mentality, his leadership, and I think on paper he's probably the best player in our team. And we've got some players that are up there competing with him. Bryan Mbeumo is a top quality player, but Bruno is just, his output is ridiculous. And he's an example of what a Manchester United player should be. So, but he might leave. It's 50-50. It is 50-50 that he might leave. So you've got a situation there. Oh, and Kobbie Mainoo, okay, yeah, he's had a brilliant Manchester derby and he's going to stay this January, and I'm so thankful for that. That Manchester derby, to me, proved exactly why there were so many fans that were wanting him to play football and were kind of siding with him over Amorim because we knew what of a gem of an academy player we had. So, yeah, he's had that game, but it's one game. He's still not signed a contract. You know, his contract situation is up in the air. So what's going to happen there? So basically, 0 of our Manchester United midfielders' future are certain at this point. Casemiro's gone. Well, that is certain, but he's leaving. Bruno's 50-50 on whether he's going to stay or not, and it's going to be after the World Cup. Ugarte isn't really a first teamer and he's got interest from elsewhere. Mainoo hasn't signed a contract yet, and we don't know what contract talks are going to be held or what's going to happen there. And then Mason Mount is an injury liability, really. I think Mason Mount is a very, very good player. You know how much I rate Mason Mount, but you can't rely to build a midfield around him. So our midfield, we need 2/3 midfielders, and we better get cracking on that. We need to get deals lined up because we don't want to be scrambling around before the start of the season trying to put a midfield together. So let's see. What I will say is, I think out of all them options, I think we can say, I will say, I'll put my neck on the line, I think Kobbie Mainoo will be starting for Manchester United if he's fit opening day of the season next season. I think Kobbie Mainoo will sign a contract, and I think the new manager will build around him, and I think he will stay at Manchester United. He's always wanted to stay. That's why he only ever wanted a loan when Amorim was here, because he wanted to go out and prove himself. He loves Manchester United. He's a Red. He wants to stay and play for the club. So I think Mainoo will stay, but the others, I'm not so sure. I'm hoping Bruno will stay, but still, you've not got a defensive midfielder in there. You've not. So we've got to go into the market for midfielders, and that's what I'll kind of end this show on here. In terms of, was it the right decision to leave by Casemiro? I'm trying to see the results, but my YouTube poll isn't working. 81% of you have said yes. So I think that's most of the community there coming together and saying, right now, it's the right decision to let Casemiro move on. Like I said, if he was going to sign like a reduced wage contract and hang around for 2 years as like that leader in the dressing room that can pitch in here and there, I would have been open to it. But he clearly doesn't want to take a wage cut, and that's fair enough to him. And I think it's the right decision for him to leave. And it's good that Manchester United have not pushed that any further and they're looking to go and reinvest. But there's rumours coming out by Elliot Anderson. Put your money where your mouth is and go and get him. And it's not going to be easy. Class of 99 says, name 3 DMs in the Premier League who've better vision and passing. It's really, really difficult. It's really difficult. But Elliot Anderson is a player in the Premier League who, to me, when he makes that next move up, people are going to talking about him, like seriously talking about him as being a top quality player. Just like when Rice made the step up from West Ham to Arsenal, of course, there was noise around him, but he's really kind of made that leap and he's had a massive, massive impact. So I think Elliot Anderson has that capability. Ray Simpson says, does this force United to get a midfielder now? I don't know, because they'll have known about this for a while and it's not really changed anything. But like I said, if they wanted to get ahead of the game, you would get a midfielder now and then you would get 2 in the summer. Patrick Mundell says, if Mainoo returns to form and getting Anderson/Wharton, will Bruno stay? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Look, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stories of Old Boy says, excited to see Anderson in the World Cup. Yeah, I'm excited to watch Anderson in the World Cup as well for England. Will he be playing with Kobbie Mainoo, or is it too late for Kobbie Mainoo? I think it's too late, but who knows? Never say never. Now, Declan Rice, I think Declan Rice will be playing, won't it? It'll be Declan Rice and Elliot Anderson, potentially. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll think about what my starting 11 would be for England. I can't really think about it on the spot now. I'll wait, and then after that March into national break, I'll do my England starting 11. But look, Casemiro's leaving. He will always be a Red, and thank you to his contributions, because I've had some great memories under Casemiro, and he is a legend of the game of what he's done. We might have not have seen the complete best of Casemiro at United, but we definitely did get glimpses of that midfielder that a lot of us always wanted. So yeah, Casemiro's going. I think it's the right thing, and hopefully we can reinvest into the future in the summer. But let's see if we do that. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you on the next one.